Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. As usual, the chat is buzzing. Thanks for being in here. Give us all the questions, all the comments you want. Hit the like button. Let's see how we did yesterday before we bring in the stars of the show. All right, a decent rebound here. 4-2. EK goes 1 for 2. Man, he should have had a push in that Celtics game. Meaningless basket at the end there. Mackenzie Brooks goes 1 for 2, and buckets indeed, 2 for 2. Love to see that. We'll take a 4-2 day, and we'll try to improve on a 4-2 day with the stars of the show. Stars include you. Eric David says, good morning, counselor. Big Cheesy says, morning. A lot of people in the chat, but we've got prop stars here. Martin Green and Larry Hartstein. Proppy, how we doing?
Sia, we are doing great, gentlemen. Great to see you. Good morning, chat. Hope everyone's doing well. I am once again broadcasting live from the beautiful A Resort and Casino. I wanted to give a brief shout out to my guys, Justin, David, Devin. We were chopping it up right before the stream started. I know these guys are tuning in. They are part of the absolutely wonderful staff here that takes such great care of me. And if anybody is in the Pacific Northwest, I would encourage you to come here, play some sports wagers, hang out with me, maybe take a couple of spins of the roulette wheel as well. So shout out to the best guys. And yeah, I'm ready to get down to business. See ya.
I love it. It's Justin, David, and who was the third one?
Devin.
Justin, David, and Devin, thank you for joining us. Hey, maybe you all could hit the like button, and maybe you all could subscribe with 100,000 others that have subscribed to this channel. If you're not already subscribed, you got to subscribe to comment in the chat. Love to see it. Larry, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Sorry, I'm just enjoying some of the chat about, Proppy moving full-time into the casino. And but yeah, no, I'm doing great. We got a good NBA slate. We have a very interesting Thursday night game with a lot of inclement weather to talk about. So let's get it.
All right. Well, let's get it indeed. Martin, you're always busy in the chat. So let's go ahead and get it. Let's get to some picks. You got a couple of plays for the pitch. What are they?
I do. Thank you, Sia. Yeah, the international soccer is over. Went 3-0 on a Canada-Suriname article at SportsLine yesterday, so pretty happy with that. But we now have club soccer is starting again, and it doesn't get underway until the weekend, unfortunately. So no soccer today. So my picks are for this weekend's games. Starting with a moneyline parlay. Starting with Arsenal. They can't afford to drop points when they host Nottingham Forest in London this weekend. They're now 9 points behind their title rivals, Liverpool. They really need to return to winning ways. Fortunately, their captain, Martin Odegaard, is back from injury, and he should help them rediscover their best form because he's their creator-in-chief. I think they should beat a Nottingham Forest team that lost 3-1 to Newcastle last time out. Just combining them with a moneyline win for Inter Milan, who should really be too strong for Verona this weekend. Inter have won 6 of their last 7 games against Verona, which really bodes well for their prospects in this match. And also in France, I think that Nice should get the better of Strasbourg when the teams meet on the French Riviera. Nice are currently on a 7-game unbeaten streak, which has carried them up to 6th in the Ligue 1 table. They're unbeaten at home this season. Meanwhile, Strasbourg are down to 11th after losing their last 2 games, winless on the road, 2 draws and 3 defeats from 5 away matches, not playing great. And Nice also beat Strasbourg home and away last season. Should give them a bit of a psychological edge when the team step onto the pitch this weekend. So moneyline odds of -120 looks great to me.
All right, looks great to me as well. If you want to make those picks or any of the picks you're going to see in the chat or here on the show, go to BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. Chris Kish says, haha, pro sports bettor on the roulette wheel. What is happening? I love it. I have a really cool, kind of slightly depressing roulette story. Maybe if we have time at the end of the show, maybe I'll tell it, or I'll tell it during another show. It actually implicates fantasy football, and of all people, CJ Spiller and David Wilson. I know it's a crazy story, and it involves roulette. Maybe we'll get to that, but we got to get to Alex's pick next, right after this break.
It's a team almost too good to be true.
You guys ain't ready for us.
Kick your game day off right as the Tops team tackles all the biggest headlines around the league.
Who's got two thumbs and loves this next segment?
Sunday mornings on CBS Sports Network.
All right, we're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Nathan Henry has a Kobe White prop, which is interesting. We might hear his name later on in the show. But Proppy, yesterday everybody heard me talk and tout the Steelers -3.5. I just think the Browns are just super vulnerable. I know the weather's going to be bad. Pittsburgh too good on both sides of the ball. At least that's my take. I understand division game 3.5 is actually a lot of points in a division game like this. With all of that said, if I'm right, I think what happens is Pittsburgh runs the ball and it's a big Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren day. I assume you agree.
I'm right there with you, Sia. Yeah, I'm back in Jaylen Warren, guys. I'm going to go over on his combination line. This is a familiar prop that we gave out just a couple of weeks ago successfully. And I'm going right back to the well here with Jaylen Warren, who really looks explosive and dynamic. Going over 54.5 combined rushing and receiving yards. If you've been following Jaylen Warren, last season was one of the more efficient, explosive, and dynamic running backs in the NFL. There were a lot of people calling for him to get a larger workload at the expense of Najee Harris, who did not play particularly well last season. Jaylen Warren had a lot of momentum heading into this season, but unfortunately for him, he suffered an injury, a hamstring injury, just prior to the season starting that really curtailed his momentum, and he was playing hurt, eventually got shut down, landed on IR. But yeah, he is back, and he looks every bit as good as he did last season. Definitely the more versatile weapon compared to Najee Harris. And yeah, 4 consecutive games having gone over this. He's averaging 14 touches per game. We know Pittsburgh runs the football as much as any team in the NFL. Sia mentioned there's going to be inclement weather as well. This is also the combination line. It insulates us from the game script in the event that Pittsburgh is playing from behind, albeit very unlikely. But even when they play from a lead, we know Russell Wilson loves to target his running back, and Jaylen Warren is the preferred third down back and pass catching back, and just offers a little more explosiveness in the backfield. So I like it. I love this prop, going over 54.5 rushing and receiving yards. I think he can get there on rushing yards alone, frankly, against a Browns defense 26th in EPA allowed per rush, and they're reeling right now. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh playing fantastic football, and a lot of that has to do with Jaylen Warren really peaking and looks just as good as every bit as good as he did last season. Looks fully healthy here. So let's go over 54.5 rushing and receiving for the combo back.
All right, we're going with Jaylen Warren rushing and receiving. More on this game probably tomorrow morning, but also early edge prime time at 7:15 on Thursday night. All right, I'm going to the RSM Classic. This is the last tournament of the year, where the next tournament you're going to hear from us on is going to be the Century, and that's in early January. So things are going to slow down. So I figured I'd give you a couple of picks and maybe a few outrights as well. We're going to start with Ben Griffin in the finishing position market. We're taking him T30. In other words, to finish top 30 at -105. The T30 market isn't everywhere. So I'll say this: if you want to take him T20, you can take him T40, but that's like -170. If you want to take him T20, it's +160, anywhere between +140 and +160. I certainly like that. You could lower your unit size. But either way, Ben Griffin has a really good history on this course, is a really good course fit, and has good recent history. Checks a lot of the boxes, can get hot on approach and with the putter. Nobody's a shoe-in in tournaments like these to finish T30 or T20 or otherwise, but I think he's got a great shot. I think this number should probably be closer to like -130. We're getting it -105. Round one matchup, we're going there now. We're going JJ Spawn at plus money, +110 over Nick Hardy and Stuart Sink. JJ Spawn has really good history here as well. Recent history is good, and I really like his course fit over Nick Hardy and Stuart Sink. And finally, how about some outrights? We can't really do first-round leaders because there's 2 courses. The RSM Classic has 2 courses, Seaside and Plantation, and a lot of sports books just aren't offering first-round leaders when you have multiple courses. So I'm just going to go right to the outright market. Seamus Power, Ben Griffin, Mackenzie Hughes, Andrew Putnam, 30, 35, 35, and 55 to 1. Those are my 4 outrights. Let's ride those together as we ride the Ben Griffin T30, or in your case, if you have the T20 only bet as well. So those are some RSM Classic plays. Now we transition from golf back to, we've got a couple of picks. I didn't realize that. We've got an NFL pick from Larry, and we've got an NBA pick. Larry, go ahead.
All right, Kobe White, which we talked about earlier in the chat. I like him tonight. I'm going over 19.5 points. It's 20.5 at some books. I would still play him over. It's just the dream matchup when you play the Milwaukee Bucks, who give up the second most points to opposing point guards, the most points to point guards, and he destroyed them for 35 points in the earlier matchup. I know the Bucks have talked about how they're playing better defense. I will pay to see that because we have a total of 239, highest total on the board. We have the Bulls, who lead the NBA in pace. Kobe White has cleared this in 4 of his last 5, the only exception being a blowout where he only played 25 minutes. So I think he'll get it going tonight and get us to 20 points. But probably like most of my props, it will come down to the final minute, which has been the case with me this season. A lot of last minute cashes so far. Let's keep it going. But Thursday night football, I am really excited to watch Darnell Washington, the second-year tight end, freakish athlete out of Georgia, quietly over the last month has basically surpassed Pat Freiermuth. He's getting more snaps. He's an incredible blocker. They averaged 6 yards a carry running behind him last week, and he's also great at getting downfield despite his size. Russell Wilson said he's 315 pounds and he can move and he can catch. He's listed at 264. You go back to some of his pro day highlights and the combine highlights and look at this guy's hands. Look at what he did at Georgia, 16 yards a catch. They caught him twice down the seam against the Ravens for 42 yards. He can run over you. I just love this guy, and they love him. And he has made what Mike Tomlin says is the second-year leap. Had a lot of talent, but we didn't see it last season. Now it's starting to click. I think he gets over 10.5 yards. I also like his longest catch over 8.5. It's another way to play it just on the odd chance that he gets one catch for 10 yards. That would be painful for this prop, but I like him every which way, Darnell Washington.
You certainly think in this type of game, weather aside, but also weather included, that the underneath throws to guys like Darnell Washington are going to be there for Russell Wilson, plentiful in that mid to short area. Let's see. I just want to point out there were some picks from, let's see, Aussie Micah had a pick. We had an F1 pick from Chris Kish. Big Cheesy always delivering. Brad Betts delivering some picks. Martin Green, was there anything on the pitch that you needed to clean up? Any questions or comments to address?
Plenty of questions coming in, asking about potential goal scorers in Brazil's Serie A, which is taking place overnight. I think Pedro for Flamengo always looks dangerous, and Esteval, who plays up front for Palmeiras, has just been on a tear lately. So those would probably be my favorite 2 goal scorer props. Had a question about the Bayern Munich versus Augsburg game, which takes place on Friday. Probably Bucket's speciality because he loves Bayern Munich. But I think both teams to score looks attractive in that one, and it should probably go over the 3.5 goal total. I think Bayern should win that one pretty comfortably, maybe 3-1 or 4-1. But yeah, there's a few more comments coming in, so keep them coming. I'll keep answering them on the chat.
Okay. Kirk Schroyer is saying, speaking of buckets, he says, nice job by Buckets yesterday. Absolutely. 2 for 2 is absolutely want to see. Alex Jones has some plays that he's dishing out as well. Absolutely love to see all this. Brad Betts, Bayern versus Augsburg will hit the over, no doubt. Ladder play. Larry, talk to me real quick because I'm looking at my computer, my phone a decent amount day to day. I keep seeing notifications. Such and such has joined the server. Such and such has joined the server. Name here, name there, name everywhere. Talk to me about the SportsLine Discord real quick because it's only been in existence or at least available to everybody for, I don't know, maybe going on 2 weeks now, and people are pouring in, correct?
Yeah, not even. We're talking 9 days, and we're up to close to 1,000 subscribers on there, sharing picks, sharing information. And I know I teased something the last time Proppy and I were on, which is going to happen very soon. But there is something else that I'm going to tease right now, and that is a way that the people in the Discord, because there's a lot of sharp information, a lot of smart bettors there, that we are going to figure out a way. We're talking about a way, and it's going to happen soon, where we get their picks onto the site. And more to come on that. But if we're going to be able to reach a consensus on certain picks from the Discord, we're going to see how those play out on the site.
Okay, that is very, very interesting. Either way, you're going to want to get in there because it's some good conversation, elevated conversation about picks that we've taken and picks that we're considering and picks that we're staying away from. Brian Grebbins has a question, Proppy. I don't know if you've seen it. He says, how do you feel about Cat under 40.5 points, rebounds, and assists?
Yeah, so I put this out on the site last night at 42.5. Obviously, that's ticked down quite a bit to 40.5. Frankly, I think the line should have been 40.5. I'd lean under on it. I do think he is a regression candidate. I think he's playing a bit above his head, frankly, shooting above 50% from three, career high in field goal percentage. Also, if we look at the Knicks and the distribution there, there's a lot of offensive output and usage. So I definitely think this is a natural cool down spot for him. So I'd lean under. It's hard for me to endorse it when it's moved off of 42, but I still like the under at 40.5.
Okay, still like it at 40.5, but part of the reason to become a SportsLine member is because you get those picks when Proppy publishes them. So if you want to become a SportsLine member and for some reason you are not already, head to sportsline.com/join. Type in the promo code winners. You get 60% off the annual plan. That's Propstarz articles, Propstarz picks, everybody else's picks and articles, including a few weeks ago, we had the UCL article stuff from Martin and Buckets and others. We got our DFS plays in there, Mike McClure's DFS plays and simulations. A lot going on beyond the picks themselves, but the picks alone are certainly worth the subscription. And anybody in here that's a SportsLine member can tell you that that is true. Real quick, I'm gonna spend 60 seconds telling that story. I'll just make it really, and it might not even be that great of a story. It's just great to me, I guess. While I'm telling this, I want everybody to type into the chat your worst fantasy football pick of all time. This can go back 20 years if you've been playing fantasy football that long, because that's what's implicated in my story. So me and friends, we fly out to Vegas for our draft the Wednesday before the Thursday night game every single year. Long story short, that draft, it was probably 12, 13 years ago. My first round pick, number 7 overall, was CJ Spiller. Not a good pick. My second round pick on the rebound, it was a 10-team league, was David Wilson, the hot commodity from, I believe it was Virginia Tech, that was going to do all kinds of damage for the New York Giants. Well, CJ Spiller ended up being a flop. The Sunday night football game that we all stayed at the Wynn for, we were watching it at the Wynn, David Wilson fumbled twice. It was his first start, and he fumbled twice in the first half. It was not going well. So it was going so unwell that I went down to a roulette wheel that was like a few steps away. I was already up, so I wasn't spending money I didn't have. And I just loaded up the third, but I loaded up the number 28 for some reason. I'm not really sure why. And it hit. So as sad as I was that it looked like my fantasy football season was going down the tubes in week 1 because of 2 really unfortunate picks, I won a ton of money. I won my buy-in. I won my trip. It was a fun story. So the number 28, the roulette wheel, I'm fond of it. Proppy, your response.
I think that's amazing, Sia. Out of curiosity, did 28 have any significance prior to that? Was just your gut feeling?
Yeah, I usually pepper the third. So it's usually 32, 33, 26, 29, and sometimes I'll include 28. For whatever reason, I just decided to put a lot of money on 28. I couldn't tell you why.
Absolutely love that. Yeah, I think when you've got the strong conviction and you feel the gut instinct, you got to roll with it. So, yeah, I think that's some keen gambling instincts right there, Sia.
Well, listen, it's roulette at the end of the day. We're just having fun with roulette. We're not necessarily trying to find an edge. And you can have fun betting, too. That's what this show is about as well. Trent Richardson, says Tim Marcellus. Yeah, that would have been a bad pick. David Wilson making the cut in here as well. Somebody said Leonard Fournette must have gotten him at a bad time. Antonio
I think
Brown.
mine was Peyton Hillis post his breakout campaign.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Lawrence Maroney is on here. That's interesting. Larry, do you have a somebody that comes to mind fantasy football wise?
I'm getting all these bad memories from the chat. CJ Spiller very, very high, and Trent Richardson very, very high.
Mm-hmm. Tyreek Hill first round this year, says Mark Buchholz.
Ooh.
Yes, I mean, we still have time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it. Let's check out the recap screen before we get out of here. Don't forget, if you're catching us late for some reason, I did have some RSM outrights that Jake the Snake put up a graphic for about 10 minutes ago. So go back and check that out. Speaking of, one of those 4 is Ben Griffin. I like him to T30 at -105. If you only have the T20 market, maybe drop the unit size, play the 150 or 160. I like that bet quite a bit. JJ Spawn, round 1, 3 ball, +110 over Nick Hardy and Stu Sink, Martin Green, Arsenal, plus Inter Milan, minus 105, and Nice, money line, minus 120. Propstarz, Jalen Warren, over 54.5. Rushing and receiving yards tomorrow night, that's minus 115. Speaking of tomorrow night, Larry Hartstein, the maestro, Darnell Washington, over 10.5 receiving yards at minus 111. And Kobe White tonight, over 19.5 points at minus 128. That was fun. Le'Veon Bell, says Larry Hartstein. I guess that was post-good career Le'Veon Bell. Jets Le'Veon Bell. Man, the Jets are a really bad franchise. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what a great show. On behalf of Jake the Snake, Martin Green, Larry Hartstein, Alex Selesnick, and of course me, the Counselor of Cash, and you, thanks for being in here. We'll of course see you tomorrow. We got a loaded lineup of shows on CBS Sports Network today, but tomorrow on the Early Edge, and of course tomorrow on Early Edge Primetime. Make sure you hit that notification button so you know when all of our content is coming to you. Let's have a great Wednesday, everybody. We'll see you next time. We rest our case.